All right, here we go. 1968 Chevelle, El Camino, Chevelle, same thing. 1968 El Camino, um, replacing the. I did a couple upgrades on this thing here. Power brakes, power steering. This is probably a base model vehicle. Um, Originally came with inline six with three on the tree. Well, manual steering, manual brakes, kind of hard to drive. Plus, it didn't have any power. So, anyways, this is what we did here. I pulled the manual steering gearbox out, and I went down to the wrecking yard, and I purchased this power steering gearbox out of a 1995 Jeep Grand Cherokee. Okay, so it is a direct fit. There's a couple things you will have to convert over. One of them, you see that little spacer in there? Okay, a lot of the newer vehicles, they used, this is like a metric 18 millimeter, and with the O-ring on it. Okay, so the hose that came off this vehicle and then the hose that goes to the power steering pump is 11/16 flare. Basically, that's a flare right there. This right here is O-ring type. Basically, you convert the flare to O-ring type. This hose right here came off the Grand Caravan. I just bent it a little bit and made it fit. I didn't have any old hoses to deal with, so I did have some new ones. I had this new one here that was supposed to go on my Chevelle, but this is a paying customer here, so you know, I had a couple extra parts, so I just made use of them. Okay, so this is a few things that I did. Steering coupler. I believe this steering coupler will fit on like a 1980 Suburban. Dorman makes the part. There's a couple other places that make it. I ended up purchasing this one right here on eBay for like 30 bucks. It was a good price. The Dorman one's probably about 60. These hoses right here, this hose was like 12 bucks. So there's that. The gearbox was about 60. I did have to replace the pitman arm. The cheapest pitman arm I could find was at, I think it was $57. You may find it cheaper elsewhere, but it was Amazon, $57, you know, free shipping and all that good stuff. So I replaced the pitman arm because on this particular vehicle, since it had manual steering, the here's a couple pitman arms. So this pitman arm right here is a manual steering gearbox pitman arm. You can see the shaft is smaller from here to here. Well, this pitman arm was not going to fit on a power steering gearbox. No way, no how. It's a manual steering pitman arm. So what I did, I borrowed the one off my Chevelle, 1964 Chevelle Super Sport with power steering. I took the power steering Chevelle pitman arm and I used it on this vehicle. The Chevelle has a smaller center drag link, so the hole on it was just like perfect. It fit on there, everything lined up, just bolted straight on. So if you're converting from a on a 1968 Chevelle or El Camino. If you're converting from manual to power, you will be replacing the pitman arm. If you are going from power to power, you do not have to change the pitman arm. You have to change the rag joint. The hoses, your old hose will probably fit. You'll have to add this here, the little coupler things I just showed you. So there's the things that you will have to purchase besides the either a remanufactured or a used gearbox. If you're going to go to a remanufactured gearbox, or you can buy new ones or whatever, this is the Cardone one, and there's your part number. You can see my old gearbox was pretty much toast. This is the gearbox out of the 64 Chevelle. Looks pretty wet. When I pulled the pitman arm off of here to use on that one, it just started making a mess on my floor, my driveway, see? So I threw the drip pan on her and I said, ah, shit, I'm gonna have to swap this one out too. So I went and bought instead of going back to the junkyard, went on Amazon, got a remanufactured gearbox, stuck it in here. Okay, so even though this is not the original engine, this came originally with a 283. This is a 350 block converted to a 327 with D-port heads on it, aluminum, and it does have a long water pump. So here's the deal. Notice this here. These brackets are actually for like camel hump heads, but I'm gonna end up getting a bracket for this side because damn power steering pump is hitting my my new gearbox. So keep in mind, if you're dealing with a Chevelle with a short water pump, it's gonna have brackets similar to this. So you're gonna have to get rid of the old brackets, okay, and then replace the brackets. You can see here, see the bracket bolts right here, and it bolts right here to the water pump, and then there's a third bolt hole. This is the pivot point. These are the ones that hold it in place, and the adjuster goes right here. See how much more room I got on this one? So I'm going to have to actually get some brackets similar to this for that vehicle. I mean, if I was staying with the original engine and all that, you know, this might not be the move to make. Maybe just go ahead and rebuild that old box even though it's junk. I ain't doing that. So keep in mind, you're going to be looking at getting some of these little shiny brackets there. So there's that. What do we got here? So there's the old gearbox out of here. This is the Cardone one, remanufactured. Okay, I paid like I don't know, like $161 for this one. $100 more for that one. Well, with I do get like a $75 core charge. So if I actually get paid for my core, I will be able to recoup some of my my money there. So I'm gonna try and send that one in, even though it's not a quick ratio, and see if they'll give me any core money for it. I mean, it's 75 bucks. It's worth a try. So there's that. I've ordered hoses for it, another coupler. Since I used the pitman arm from the Chevelle on the El Camino, I got to order a pitman arm. So those are the things you need. But on this vehicle, I would not have to have ordered the pitman arm. So I think that about covers it. So here's two different ways to go here. Two different vehicles, pretty much the same. Come out with the same steering in the end. If you have any questions, I do a lot of like Frankenstein stuff, you know, taking a 350 block and turning it into a 327, taking a 450 block and turning it into a 427. So there you go, man. Good luck, man.